good, y'all? It's the one and only King Cal 516 live in the mix, and this is the Swish Flames podcast. So, by now, most of you have probably heard about Joel Embiid clapping back at Ben Simmons in regards to a report that was put out there in the media that Ben Simmons is looking to move on from playing with Joel Embiid. Nothing personal, basically, but he's looking to move on from playing with Joel Embiid. He kind of wants to be on a team, basically, that's built around him. And Joel Embiid has clapped back. We're going to get into that, but before we do, please check out our website at www.swishflames.com. Hit us up at Twitter at SwishFlames, and definitely check out the Facebook and YouTube page at Swish Flames Podcast. We are almost at 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube, so we thank you for the support. Please hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you comment your thoughts on this video. Anyhow, this is what I want to do, and this is how I want to start this, by saying the Philadelphia 76ers situation is a tragedy for that organization right now. This is a team that is a high-quality team, has a lot of talent, and who's a team that, if the cards fall in their direction, has the talent and ability to win the NBA championship. But they got a leadership issue, and this is clear as day. Now, I'm not even saying Ben Simmons is a great leader, but it's clearly, for years, in my opinion, and I don't think it's been a question, this is clearly Joel Embiid's team. Now, of the two players, Joel Embiid is definitely easier to build around because his game can mesh any kind of style of play in all. Basically, he's a big man, highly skilled, can do it all on the court. A great two-way player, a great presence. He's a good shooter for a big. Joel Embiid does it all. But as far as him kind of leading this team right now by these comments and this clapback to Ben Simmons, he's failing. Now, let me just start by saying this. It's okay for Joel Embiid to be frustrated. It's okay for Joel Embiid to speak his mind. But in this context, in this situation, the Philadelphia 76ers from the top down need to have one voice. It wasn't too long ago, if you guys recall, Doc Rivers went on national TV to backtrack his statements at the end of the season, basically pointing the finger to the media that you misunderstood basically what he was saying when he was asked the simple question, does he see Ben Simmons as basically a championship point guard, a team that can lead a team to the championship as a point guard? And Doc Rivers said he's not sure. But the media has apparently took that out of context. So he's backtracking. Management of the Sixers is saying, and all of a sudden the messaging went to, oh, we want to play with Ben Simmons. Even not too long ago, Joel Embiid was saying, yeah, we still want to play with Ben Simmons. And we know about what happened last week. Some of the players wanted to get on a plane to go out to Cali to go talk to Ben Simmons, try to get him to come into training camp. Ben Simmons denied talks. Listen, Ben Simmons is really done. And he's already missed some of training camp. And the 76ers have some obligations right now because his payment of $8.5 million is due, and they're holding that money. And by reports that I've seen, the fines that Ben Simmons is accruing, they're going to take from that money that they're holding. So as he continues to get fined by missing different training camps, missing different games, that's the pot of money they're going to be taken from as they continue to fine him. So my whole thing is the team obviously had that certain messaging, and the messaging to me wasn't just about, trying to get Ben Simmons into camp. The messaging was about trying to raise Ben Simmons' value. So not too long goes by. We just go a few days later, and Joel Embiid is venting to the media because he's pretty much upset of what Simmons can't put out there in the media about him not wanting to play with him anymore, even though he said nothing personal. So once again, Joel Embiid has the right to his opinion. He has the right to vent, but he's supposed to be the leader of this team. And the great thing about this whole situation for Joel Embiid is this. You need the Philly to get high value for whoever they trade Ben Simmons for. So for you to let your emotions get the best of you and do this in the media is a bigger distraction for your team. Because now with the words you just put out there, the media is going to grab it. Of course, it's going to be headlines. But guess what? They're going to redirect these questions and ask you again in different ways. They're going to also ask your teammates. You got to be the leader. You got to be the one to, when these questions get asked, say, hey, throw it back on the management. Tell the media your focus is on winning a championship. You know what I mean? Venting, I just feel like this should be done behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying? Not to the media, because you're feeding into the frenzy. Let me give you a great example. If you saw the Brooklyn Nets, this whole thing, the media is trying to blow up this Kyrie Irving not taking the vaccine. They're making it this big, huge deal. So, if you look at the Nets, if you look at Kevin Durant, you look at James Harden, if you look at all these Nets players, none of them, not a single one of them, created more headlines when it came to that. Basically, the team had one message, one voice. And so none of them created more headlines about that vaccine, because if they do, that's going to become more distraction. And your team, we all know, the Brooklyn Nets, they are a team looking to win the NBA championship. You don't got time for that. Right now, Joel Embiid, you are the leader of the Sixers. You don't have time for this drama. I understand that it's a big deal. It's a lot of questions. But hey, you need to be focusing on leading your team with whoever you have at camp. So you do say these things, but you're still letting this outside distraction of Ben Simmons coming into your media sessions, bro. You need to let that go. Like I said, do your venting behind closed doors. Stop feeding into it. Stop making stories of it. Because that shows me where your headspace is at. And I can understand if you're disappointed. Listen, Joel Embiid has the right to be upset if he feels this wrong. He has the right to be upset if he feels that certain moves that the team made was for Ben Simmons and his game in mind. He mentioned getting rid of Jimmy Butler, bringing in Al Horford. I get it. Even if you're venting some of this stuff that you're saying, or even if all the stuff you're saying is true, in the context of you leading your team, you need to have one voice, one message. The best thing for you, Joel Embiid, is that Ben Simmons' value is high. So you should have kept to the whole, yeah, we're interested in having Ben Simmons back. We understand there's some issues. We can work it out. We're interested in having him back. You know what I mean? That's the message you should continue to have, because now you have clearly closed the door fully on this Ben Simmons situation by just what you just did, which is going to make it even a harder bridge to cross and fix. Which means teams around the league ain't going to move off their deals, which puts your team in a tough situation, because you need another high-quality player to compete for a championship. You're not going to do it with the roster you currently have. You need another all-star level player to go with you, Joel Embiid. Or you're not going to pull it off in this wild, wild west and east now. You don't have enough to beat Milwaukee with you being just the only all-star on your team, my friend. You don't have enough to beat the Nets with just you being the only all-star on your team, my friend. There's some other teams that I feel like you can't beat either if you don't have another all-star with you, my friend. So you need to fill that slot, and your team needs to get an all-star caliber player to fill that spot for you to have the ultimate chance of competing for a championship. So it's not about not speaking truth. It's about putting yourself in the best position in your team to be successful on and off the court. And so Joel Embiid has to hold his emotions during this time, and he has to understand what the game is. But this is going to be hard to come back, because now it's all out there. Now the media is going to run with it. This is hard to come back from. So right now, I don't know what the Sixers are going to do. They're just going to continue to play this out. And the only thing now that the Sixers really have left as far as their cards to play is just hoping as the season starts that some star player gets disgruntled, that they can work a deal out with some star player that gets disgruntled. Because right now, I don't think there's anything. So don't be surprised if this thing drags out for half the season. But if it does drag out for half the season, you got to imagine where that's going to put Philly. I don't care if they have a great regular season record. You got to feel like that's going to be just a weight. That's going to be a huge distraction for his team. No matter how well they do during the regular season. That's something when you want to have a championship team, you don't want these distractions. I'm going to bring up another team as an example before I close this thing out. Look at the Los Angeles Lakers. Another veteran team who's in the championship hunt. Want to win a championship. You know, all those guys came to media day and they all said the same exact thing. Because the main narrative around the Lakers has been, how's it all going to fit? Each and every one of these players have said the same thing. We're all going to have to sacrifice. You think they're all saying the same thing out of coincidence? Or do you think that they've all communicated with that and they're all on the same page of what's it going to take for that particular group to achieve their ultimate goal? No, these guys are in communication, so they have one voice, and that's what they give the media. You see, when you're unified, you give one voice to the media. You know what I'm saying? You use the media for your unification to strengthen that. Because the media would do anything to create a headline, to create a story, and to cause any kind of dissension amongst the ranks. Because that's what sells for them. So anybody that can get to slip up with a loophole, guess what happens? They will bring that to try to put it on somebody else and put you on the spot. So you realize, wait, he said that? Oh, the media is ruthless. They will try to cause dissension amongst the team. And if you fall for it, you screw yourself over. So Philly needs to readjust after this. Joel Embiid, okay, you got your venting off, but you need to cut out the venting. And you need to stop the venting from this point on forward. Do not ruin more value of this Ben Simmons trade because you need as much value coming back. You need to help your team because that's the holdup. It is obvious that the Sixers aren't getting what they want. Maybe they're asking for too much. I don't know. But they're obviously not getting what they want. And quite frankly, I don't know how they will ever get what they want unless you get a specific disgruntled star that wants to get the heck out of wherever they are. And that may take a while. The only other way I could see something happening is early on in the season if somebody gets hurt on a particular team who wants to be a contender, and then they might want to pull a certain trade to bring Ben Simmons. That could work too. But as of right now, the Sixer thing is a mess. And I don't see it get any better anytime soon. Let me know what you think. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think about this whole situation. Was Joel Embiid right just to vent and not care about anything? Do you think I'm in the wrong by saying that he should have kept that venting behind scenes so that the team could continue with the same messaging of they're interested in Ben Simmons. They want to make amends for the sake of trying to keep his value high or raise his value higher than it might be currently perceived? Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. It's your boy King Kyle 516 signing off. This has been the Switch Flame Podcast.